solutions that are targeting first to equip gender with consultative knowledge that is picked from such platforms. That youth representation is not a design of an administrative or a special interest group, but a youth within a country which contribute 80% of the population are the majority stakeholders should be more inclusive than the elderly who are now giving themselves 25,000 a month. But what is the stake of the youth who are the majority? With the current decreasing trends of education, health, and service. So I beg to submit and give also room to other speakers. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. The key word is effectiveness, of which I feel if you go by numbers, youths are everywhere because structures are right from village up to national. Now, if you rate how effective those structures are, that's where the biggest problem is. And I will straight away go to now our prayers. We shouldn't have youth structures who are only used to empower others, not youths. The structures, I'm sorry, we had the youth chairpersons here. But if we go back to our districts and now start rating how effective the structures they have been to the entire youth fraternity in our respective districts, you realize there's a very big problem. I'm a youth councillor in Inamisindwa, whose role, the key one is budgeting, oversight, and of course representation. Speaker, I do everything at an allowance of only 70,000. So you can't expect me to use 70,000, do all those roles. So structures are there but are less funded. I equally have a very big problem with the National Youth Council. Many years we've complained how they are underfunded, but you also realize that the little money they get, we don't also see value for the little funds, wired to structures of youth council. So as we pray for government to increase funding for youth structures, let's also implore young leaders to also exhibit high level of accountability. Because many of young leaders, we think every coin you get should be eaten. So as we implore our government to increase funding for the youth structures, because we have countless of them, the NRM, each part has structures for young people, but the former ones, the youth structures, at least at every level of elections, young people are given just a chance to also vote for their leaders. But also the people who are voted should also explore a high level of accountability, because in the Bugisu, almost each district got close to 1.8 per quarter. I have chairpersons here. That money is always shared. Information, eh? You come and give me information.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The Honorable floor. By the name, I'm called Mangar Eric, Manapa District. The neighbor to my senior. So I wanted to talk about, he has been talking about the increment on funds. But the problem that we are having is though they increase, but again there is corruption on top those top officials. When you want to understand, you'll be bad and you'll be fought for. You're not given a chance. So what they normally do is, of course, every community, there are always active people, there are always updated people. So they will get some few like two. Then there are always big-headed people. They will deal with those ones, they pay some little, then the rest.
For purposes of clarity,
Thank you.
let my colleague explain how that corruption, because you're saying big people, who are the big people? Fellow youths or?
Okay. Thank you.
Because for this case we're doing
You're
about
like-
senior youth seating, money made for youths.
You're almost on the point. You see, we have heads covering, I don't know how I can put it, but we have the district CDOs. At least every special those groups, they have who are taking control of that. And I may not have enough information, but you get it the way you have heard.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate the information. Speaker, my point, I want to thank my colleague. He was more or less explaining what I was delivering. That as we pray for more funding, let's also have that high level of accountability. Let's also be accountable. As young people, we shouldn't again be the ones, my colleague failed to mention it. I wanted to mention this when our chairpersons are here so that they don't tell them that I said. I think your is out. That each district in Wugisu, including the city, gets close to 1.8 per quarter. And each financial year, each district, including the city, got close to 4 millions. But that money is normally shared by the executive of the National Youth Council for districts and the city, including the DCDO, who is a focal person in most districts. So if we are to ask for more funding, let's give value for the little we get. It will again entice government to add us more money. So, and also to increase the space. I would also pray that having only 10 representatives in parliament, that's a very little number to represent the majority. So I would also pray that we increase the number of slots for regional representatives of young people. You can imagine one MP representing close to 39 districts. That's how I wish we have representatives of sub-regions. That Elgon has its own regional youth MP, Teso has, and Busoga. That could also help so that issues of young people are ably delivered in the national parliament. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Next, Faraja.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir, and my fellow colleagues. Again, by names, I'm Nabende Fazali, the Popular Voice. On the motion of the day, that is the third motion about the UC effectiveness in leadership. Among those who have a belief that when those old people tell us that youth are the leaders of tomorrow, but youth are the leaders of today. So if you are a youth and you are here, you still believe in that, then you have to rub it in your mind that you are the leader of today, not the leader of what? Of tomorrow. But again, you have challenges, Honorable Speaker, sir, as some of my colleagues has been saying. First of all, as leaders, youth leaders of today, we have been used by those old and aged politicians. They know we are the one who have the motto, but because, as one of the colleagues say, that we don't have enough funds in our pockets, we don't have VIAPA, those people use those VIAPA and the funds to bribe the leader of today, where we are to be leaders. So, for those, like my colleague from Namisunda said, that, you know, we have even funds for the youth. Again, we very leaders of the, who are leading youth, and we are the very people eating the money that can benefit other leaders, or to motivate other leaders to be strong leaders of the very generation. That is too bad. As I conclude, the honorable speaker and my fellow honorable MPs, I would like to tell the House that the government, first of all, there's someone who talked about the Youth Livelihood Fund. That fund came, but people who had to access on that money, I think they were not even there. Because I will happen one to be one of the beneficiaries, but even the requirements to access that money, it again needs someone from again a rich family, or someone who is a museum who had already made a lot of money to access the very money for the youth. In fact, the requirement, first of all, it was not less than 10 million, because I wanted to get like 20 million to buy an embroidery machine. But again, the requirement that I was required to get to access the money, it was impossible. To do what? To access that money. If any of us who's here access that money, maybe he was one of the very families that can access that money. So that is one of the reasons.
Information.
Yes. Information. Welcome.
Thank you, honorable members. I'm Mayor Yasin by the names again. I'm here to bring information on our honorable member on the floor, that YLP was a program of we, the sons of peasants, like I, Yasin speaking. I'm one of the beneficiaries, that I got 12 million shillings with my group to do some activities in our community. So I think, honorable members, let's be realistic. What you're saying is out of what you're thinking.
Thank you.
The activity was all about getting organized. Currently we are on with the new program of PDM and MIOGA, and in the state it is fluently flowing.
Order.
So I bring it to your notice, my fellow youths, that
Order. Sergeant Atam.
I bring it to your intention that, my fellow youths, to possess, you need to position yourselves. No one will come in your garden to come and pull you like, come, we run the YLP program. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable member, for that information, which is again has some victory. I said the requirements for one to acquire that loan was impossible. Maybe if you have a link to, you would have come here and tell these honorable members that these were the requirements that made these honorables not to access the loan. And you tell us how you accessed it, but you are telling us you got 12 million. How? And how? And another question is coming. You got 12 million. You
Time.
did what? Then that one, if it has achieved, then why do you brought again Mioga and the what? And the PDM? Yeah? So, honorable speakers, I want to tell you that what I'm saying, I'm telling the House, these are the facts from the ground, from the real youth of Uganda. These are the real cause, and these are the things that are failing us also to be represented. Another thing, the 1995 Constitution is very clear, and it was there to even to save these youth also to be the president of this nation or ministers. But again, it was done a mess in 2011, 20 what? Where the agreement was again abolished. The term limit was abolished. Now to deny these youths a chance also to be leaders of what? It again I call the house. At least you go back and you amend the age limit bill and the term limit such that these youths can be fitting in this position. Thank you very much, Bwana Speaker, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Let's have it ready. Gender balance.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, members. I'm here to talk about a few things that has been discussed on the House. My name is Mtama Betty Mdua, General Secretary, South Central Ward, and Civic Mentor Bugisu NGO Forum. Speaker, I want to talk about the current speaker who has been on the floor. I want him to put in mind to withdraw his statements that he has been saying about the government delivering the services. Yes, I'm coming.
Order, order.
When we first got the training, he talked about positioning yourself and becoming relevant. So you're talking about the PDM and then the Youth Library Program. Well, I've never been a beneficiary simply because I was not organized. But I just want to call us upon this house here as youth. Let us open the books of actions than lamentations, because lamentations will not take us anywhere and we shall not develop. But let us work together to develop our nation, to develop our districts and our sub-counties we represent. So we need to build good relationships in the community with the leaders, fellow leaders, sharing. That is where the trainer said disseminating information. Once you get the information and it is shared, it will lead us to advocate. And we are here for a legislative engagement. So I want to thank you for your deliberations, but in Uganda, they say, Omulungi tabulako kamugo. But let us not keep lamenting. I urge you, because we are here to lead our people and offer a service.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then, I'm sorry, a minute, about this disaster management. I would request that the government put committees on the grassroots where the youth are involved, because the youth are the ones which are many in the number. But you find that the committees of disaster, they are dormant. They only have at district level.
Yes.
This is information I'm bringing to house.
Order.
They are dormant at they are dormant, they are not functional. So we request that the government may make the district management committees and involving youth for them to be
Order.
functional. Thank you. I submit.
Yes. Let's wait.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, the person I wanted to raise order on has already moved to sit. So I would request
Order,
that I
order.
proceed. I only wanted to raise a point of order whether it is allowed to speak on something that has already been put on to rest, because the communication she was making was on a point that was already rested. Mr. Speaker, on the third motion, we look out for two major actors. As we look at effectiveness, we are looking at the role of government in creating the effectiveness of the National Youth Council and the youth members of parliament, who are 5. I want to differ with the argument put forward by one of the colleagues who said that we actually need to increase these members of parliament. When we look at effectiveness, first of all, what is representation? We are looking at 5 members of parliament representing the youth. But that does not bar the youth from participating in other directly elected positions. For example, here we have mayors, we have councillors, we have people vying for members of parliament who are youth. So the law, which provides for representation of the youth in parliament, does not bar youth from representing the other youth in other mainstream positions. So I think that is what should be clear in the August House. But what is our discussion in defining what is effective? Are we looking at the quality of representation or the quantity of representation? The structures, which also include, I would also put WUNSA in it. National Youth Council, the MPs. First of all, one of the colleagues here said that that is not mandated. It's not in the law as a requirement for you to contest. But I bet all of you, for you to stand up here, like one of the gentlemen stood up and said, I will be vying in 2026. Already we are looking at you for something to take home. Because the monetization of today's politics requires you to have something. In the motion, it's clear that most of these youth who are capable, by the way, just like you in your wisdom, Mr. Speaker, sir, who are capable, get back to be redundant and keep quiet. Why? The loans they got to go into politics, the land they sold, and the lot of people that they used to get these positions have to first be leveled before they get back to the representation. And that is what is affecting the effectiveness. What is therefore the effect of having 800 million vis-a-vis the 4 billion? In my area, I have been a youth, and I am still a youth. And I still have a longer time to be a youth. I have never seen an effective youth composition. I am inclusive. Even in what we would call already established systems, like schools that have WUNSA, we have never had any effective. What are we interested in? We have people that we know who can give us kickback. We support those ones at the expense of what we are supposed to do as youth. It is actually our role, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we all blend as young leaders who seem to have a ray of light into the future to create into our succession, one, an integrity-led youth composition. We don't have any. If we have youth who have integrity, we will be able to talk about accountability. Accountability can never exist without integrity. 2, we need to have transparent and honest youth. And that is why you find that if today I was asked whether or not there should be an increase into the funding of the youth organizations, youth structures, I would basically say no, because as an individual, the lot of programs that government has put forward, the youth livelihood program, many of my youth in my village are at large. They have run away after getting the money. 7 million shillings. What do? Chairman, secretary, treasurer sit down, they divide the money and run. But because we also have a very weak structure of government to follow up, some of those who are supposed to follow up these programs of the youth were participants in the eating of the money. So you cannot have a thief chase a thief because they all know where they're supposed to move at the end of the day. Effectiveness. First of all, the numbers may not matter. We can even cut them to only one youth MP. How many of you have spoken in parliament? And how many of those whom you gave the votes have come back to you to ask? Because effectiveness cannot be created at the destination. It has to be rooted from the origin. So I would actually request that in line with that motion, to create effectiveness of the youth have to first understand, one, what their role in the National Youth Council, WUNSA, as youth parliamentarians, is in line with the provisions of government to help the youth. Because it is only drivers who will be able to know that there is going to be an accident in the same car. I beg to move.
Because of time, I would like to invite the guest of honor to greet us and say something.
Speaker, I can take my seat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think before we have the guest of honor, we want to strongly believe as the Speaker's office that you have discussed the motions that were before us to your deepest understanding, and we want to appreciate all of you for whatever information you've shared, for whatever detail that you've shared with us here. Thank you so much. And through you, Right Honorable Speaker, so through you, Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to invite the Deputy RCC for Industrial City Division, who happens to be the guest of honor, to give us a closing remark of this session. So a hand clap, please, as we welcome him.
Oh, thank you very much. I may not be very familiar to the titles. Now we are used to protocol. But the Speaker and the honorable members who have gathered here. For starters, I am Hamza Banja. I am the RCC in charge of Industrial Division. So, I want to thank the partners, those ones there, for making it that you are here. I don't know, they have injected something to see that you come and deliberate. I'm sorry I've come late, but I was informed even 15 minutes back that the one who was supposed to be here had issues. But because as duty calls, there's nothing to do, you're supposed to be around. So I would have loved to listen to the youth right from the start up to the end. The few minutes I was here, I enjoyed. I saw the energies. I saw the issues. And very many. Because through dialogue, like debate, is the only way we can go in Uganda. Is that it? We had the wars, we had the other side of northern Uganda, the Konyi War, and others. But it is only dialogue that really brought them together, and you see other people are joining government, even the opposition. It is dialogue that we can see some presidents of other parties working in a government. Yes. So it is very good. When we have such things, debates, it helps us to research, to get facts about some things. Okay? When I sat there, I had some few people who were here. They lacked facts. But I know as you go on, you will pick facts. Because you can't say the youth are not allowed to stand. Yet when they remove the age limit, I think now the youth can stand even for presidency at the age of 18. Is that it? At the age of 18. But those days it was 45. That is why Mao struggled to stand for presidency. You remember, he was still young. But he wanted to stand for presidency when he was still 38. But now, even you people here, one of you, can contest. That is the good thing about the government of Uganda, especially the Museveni what? Government. It has empowered the youth. Okay? It has what? Empowered the youth. There are no structures in Uganda where we don't have a representative who is what? A youth. Okay? Gone are the days where the youth would say, that you are young and you don't even speak in what? In the public. But now in parliament, you are saying you have 5 representatives that sit in an August house. Every level. And above all, you can even stand for an elective post, regardless of which post, as long as you are 18 and above. So why don't you appreciate the government of Uganda? You clap for the government. So the youth are not appreciating what the government is giving you. The other thing is the government still holds youth high. That is why the government has brought, you have been talking here, I heard people saying, we had the YLP, is that it? We have funds that have come. But that one was particularly for the what? For the youth. Now somebody is saying the government apparatus are inefficient, that they let those people to run away without paying back. Please, it is not that. You get me? There are other methods of payment apart from arresting people. We tell you pay in installments. As time goes on, and then you finish up. Because me, I have a list. If I wanted to pick you, I know many who have not paid. And we bypass one another. And at times I even call them and tell them, nah, get banja deni. You say, umutoto youth manyi bichi, manyi lifeless manyi bichi. I have lists. People took 70 millions, 20 millions, and they have not paid even a single one. But the government is still bringing more funds to see that you move away from traditional to money what? Economy. Traditional subsistence way of living. And you have some money. That's why PDM is now what? Available. And even on the PDM, the structure can't be complete when there is no youth and elderly. You get me? I think the boy was the counselors. The youth is, there's a percentage for the youth. Is it 1%? 30%. Okay? So what does it mean? That the government is there for you. Still you are not appreciating. Okay. The government, I'm only advising the youth to not take themselves. Not many people, especially the youth, render themselves useless. They are just used. You know somebody who is hopeless? That he has no hope. And everyone who comes, Kadodigo comes, they say, now Nandala is coming to do this. They collect the youth. They start with you, the youth. Isn't it? When there is a strike, to go and destroy people's houses, to go and ban what? It is you, the youth. Let us have constructive minds. Eh? Let us do things that are not going to work. Let use your useful stage to attain wealth, so that at a certain age, like mine, when you have something to show, isn't it? But don't be used. One will say, Jagala bodyguard, Mulevesi, youth. Well, what does this? Youth. Yeah? So, maybe about government programs, I've said there are several. And they have mentioned them. We have the MIOGA, we have the PDM. I know that you people, you go and tell your parents home that there is money. Okwejamuchi? Move out. This one is paid 2 months, 2 years. Then the third year you start paying by force. But the first 2 years, yes, the first 2 years, it is for you. Then the 2 years, the last third year is you pay. Not by force. They will tell you to start what? Paying. These first 2 years, you start paying by yourself. But there are people who need to be reminded. Very many people need to be what? Reminded. So, even yourselves, you need 1 million shilling to start something. You need 1 million. I'm telling you, stop being in a group and you say, because outside there, you may not raise 100,000 a month. The whole month when you can't raise 100,000. But don't discourage others. Please, this money is not for NRM only. Regardless of where you belong. Regardless of the religion, the money is what? Available. Maybe the last one I'll talk about the AIDS scourge. The disease has woken up. And you are the youth. Please take care. You know all avenues you have been taught? How to abstain, how to go, when and how to receive it. Is it? So please, it is too much. Actually, the children around 18 to 30, these children are born with this disease. And the mothers died. The fathers died. And now they have it. So please, if you are true, then go and test with your partner. You can even abstain. There is nothing wrong to abstain. Okay? There is nothing what? We have also COVID still exists. And we know how to prevent ourselves from COVID. I would want to thank people, especially the population of Industrial Division. When the president acquired that thing, COVID, people were in my office crying. How is the man? But now I have good news. The good news is the president is what? He is now COVID-free, too much energized that 2026 he's around. I thank you for listening, and I declare the debate closed. I thank you.
Okay. Thank you, RCC. Thank you, honorable members, for being patient from the start up to now. RCC has said many words, but let's pick the useful one and use them the way we want. Youth, let's work very hard such that people will not come and pay us money, then we sell our positions. Because he said that when someone will come with money, even when they want a bouncer, they will say they want use. The problem is not working hard. If there is anything you can do and get something, do it, and you get money. Nowadays, the politics of nowadays, it is spoiled. So the RCC said we should appreciate the government. Without money, you cannot go through. You want it or not. Without money, you cannot go through. So let's work hard. We get money. We represent our people. And even be useful to ourselves. Without money, you cannot do anything. You cannot even buy a cloth. You cannot even buy soap. So, once again, I appreciate EU, Faraja, Firikana, for supporting us, for bringing us such a wonderful platform where most of the youths we shall express our views. With those few remarks, I beg to adjourn the meeting. Thank you for coming.
Television is a free digital platform participating with the youth,
women and men
in civic engagement, economic and Afrocentric development stories. Our heritage sets each and every one of us from the other. At Faraja Digital Television, we educate and sensitize the young people to protect and conserve our African heritage so that it does not lose its authenticity as we pass it on and on from generation to generation.
We provide an insight on the business economics and startups. We also bring you successful stories of young, vibrant entrepreneurs.
Our platform intends to equip you with knowledge that will engage you in policy advocacy, leadership, and community outreach.
Faraja Digital Television,
telling an African story.
My name I'm called Omony Rogers. I have my own boutique which I'm operating along Lumumba Road, former Adrico Hills factory.
I'm called Asizu Proskovia, and we are in Ovison Trading Center, Vura Sub-County, Alarua District.
I'm Rotimi Ivan from Alangi. This is my enterprise. It is called Sunrise. I'm a tailor.
We are in Alangi today. I just Mine is to train the entrepreneurs on how to market their products on social media, plus all other social media platforms they can use to market their business.
One of the key focus areas was how do we get digital skills to the young people in West Nile. Most importantly, in the face of COVID, because COVID limited our movements, COVID limited our interactions and our ability to be able to transact or even earn something from our businesses.
We've been having training on digital marketing, doing business on WhatsApp, Facebook.
I received a great training from Advanced Africa and Faraja Africa about digital marketing, which has really impacted a lot in my business of boutique. Because I started the business at a small scale with the worth 200,000, which I used to do it on local sales within the surrounding area, as you see.
I've been trained about 3 times. The first time was on social media, and then plus other things, and then the second time we went for another training on how to make TikTok videos. And then the last one was around May. They are all good trainings. We got a lot of knowledge which we are using to train the entrepreneurs on.
I've gathered skills and the knowledge about the digital marketing, about doing business on online marketing, and I've also learned so much so that I can teach the entrepreneurs how to grow their business, not only manually but online.
It is important because you see, when you do business in a shop or at your place, you limit your access to clients within that area. But when you are using this social media, you are able to meet people even far from you. For example, now you come from Arua. When you're coming from Arua, you may expect to meet somebody who's dealing in stationery or somewhere you can eat or you can buy certain things. But if you have ever seen this place on Facebook or on WhatsApp, you can come to me direct because we train them on how to locate their business.
At first, I was so green about it. When I started the business, I was just nothing about digital marketing. I used to have business. In fact, I used to use the platforms for our usual things. But now, when I was transformed, I was taught on how to use the platform by Faraja and Advanced Africa. Really, I've now known the use of social media.
Like the trainers on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Before COVID, each one was doing the business in their own way. Then when this NGO, Advanced Africa and Faraja Africa, they came up with how to do businesses online. That's why we picked interest and decided to also equip our youth so that they can improve on their coverage and sales.
Yeah, my life has changed so much. In fact, I thank Faraja and Advanced Africa because now I'm able to sell online. I've sold many printers online, even I've sold some laptops online, which I used to put in one place, but for now, people call me that I want printer, I want books, I want ABC. I'm able to meet clients who, if they had to come face to face, they couldn't have met me. But because the training I had, I'm able to sell online now. So my market base has increased.
Yes, a very good morning to everyone who's watching Faraja Digital TV. My name is Shedrick Kaibare, and with me
is Namatana Chanzile Tisha.
Yes, today being the 5th day of August, we are live at the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, whereby today is going to be a very different sitting. It won't be the ordinary sitting of the parliamentarians of Uganda. Instead, it will be the youth of the parliament sitting today. Well, this happens to be the 5th edition of the Youth Parliament of Uganda, in that youth are going to get the chance in that very room to discuss the issues that affect them as youth,
table bills, pass bills, and have serious debates.
This is not a one-day journey. We started from far back. We've come from sub-regionals, from the different regionals around the country, and there is inclusion for everyone, for every youth, to talk about what is actually itching them exactly where they are. Because Kampala issues are not the same as
Guru issues.
Exactly.
Well, we are going to be interacting with a few of the guests who are coming in to be a part of this prestigious day, and we shall always keep you locked in on this Faraja Digital TV. For more information, just stay tuned. We'll get back to you very shortly.
For you as a nominee on the position of the Speaker.
Why do I think that I am able to achieve this?
Together we can generate a new breed of African leaders.
Ezra Ambassador Washande. The reason why I didn't vote is to make a free environment for someone who is coming into the position, not to have bias on me. In the case of any consultation, so that he be free to come and consult me, and I advise him as his senior.
So right now you have just mentioned that you are neutral in this situation. So do you think, I've heard some murmuring that the elections were not fair. Do you think they were fair?
The elections were very fair. Whether you have lost, whether you have won, you need to cooperate because the cause is the same. We are trying to deliberate the youth of this country.
Thank you very much, Ezra. Just before you go, please give us a closing remark and briefly what you expect from this parliament.
I'll first state what we did in our National Youth Parliament, the 4th National Youth Parliament. First and foremost, we discussed the budget of National Youth Council, and it has been put clear that in the next financial year, the National Youth Council budget, it will be increased. Secondly, we discussed about to allow the pregnant young mothers to be allowed to go to school. Thirdly, we have also introduced a National Youth Symposium. So for that matter, I wish them the best in their leadership.
Yes, Faraja, say hello to the people.
Hello, and thank you very much to everyone watching Faraja Television. My name is Rubakene Francis Shah, the just elected Deputy Speaker of the National Youth Parliament.
Yes. So, what are your expectations, Mr. Franksha?
First and foremost, this National Youth Parliament is a very big avenue or platform for youths in Uganda to actually air out their views, air out their issues that will lead, the way that they air it out will lead to social changes. These changes will help impact the lives of the very many millions of youths outside in Uganda who have not had the opportunity to come to the floor today. My expectation is that the discussions that we are going to have when we resume the House is to discuss critical issues like the parish development issue, development model that is already in execution, that we will hear the youth voices at this point in time, and I hope we can discuss it, scrutinize it, and come out with motions that will, come out with resolutions that will help the native youth out there.
Well, as you can see, in my background is the youth that have been a part of this very prestigious event. Could you please give us a brief breakdown of the whole process of how the Youth Parliament comes about?
For starters, you know,
Our country has a very high percentage of the youth. Most of us are quite young. So the selection itself, we had over 2,000 participants, 2,000 applicants, sorry. We had over 2,000 applicants and we had to come down to 150 participants. And this was because of the COVID. You know, we are restricted in terms of numbers, and also financially we can't cater for the millions that we are in this country.
I want you now to tell us, I know along the way, preparing such a very successful event, there are those hiccups you face as organizers. So briefly just tell us a few of the challenges you got.
A few of the challenges I got were most of the applicants wanted to be part of this, but I couldn't have most of them on board. So I am having different lashes out on social media and all that. I'm having calls, I'm having, different people coming to me and wondering why they're not part of this. Yeah, it's quite a big challenge, really. And I'm hoping maybe once the economy stabilizes and we get to have also a proper health system whereby these pandemics are no longer scaring us, we can have a bigger number and we can get to have more people on board. Well, however, I'd like to advise the youth, we can't give up, and we're not about to give up. We keep trying. That's every day we wake up and we're like, let's just the bread. Let's work, let's start the day, let's try again. We are not going to give up.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, you've heard it from the programs manager of Faraja Africa Foundation herself.
My name's Evelyn Akware. I'm very happy to participate in the National Youth Parliament. I've learned many things today which I was not aware of them. First thing, it is important in future, same we must have to participate in National Youth Parliament because it helps us and also people with disabilities to have representatives. Reason why, as we the youth, it is important to be in the parliament to develop many things in Uganda. Because where we are, our economy is not so good, we are not benefiting. Thank you very much.
My name is Boniface Okot. I'm a member of parliament. I represent the young people of northern Uganda, but I'm also the chairperson of the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Youth Affairs.
Thank you very much, Honorable Boniface. Now, when you are on the floor of Parliament earlier on, there's a motion you talked about that you'd like Parliament to really pass on. Could you please tell us more about that motion?
So the motion that I will be able to table or move on the floor of Parliament is a motion for the resolution of Parliament on the state of the youth in Uganda. It's a comprehensive motion that has mostly 4 parts. And the 4 parts are 4 fundamental issues that are affecting the young people of this country. The first one being the issue of youth unemployment and livelihood. The second one being the responsiveness of social services in Uganda to the needs of the youth. Thirdly is how meaningful youth participation in decision making is in Uganda and the level of gender equality. And then number 4 is on the issue of climate governance. So these are all issues that we want to squarely deal with and see the level of involvement of the young people in these particular processes. So on that same day, I'll also be able to table the resolutions of the National Youth Parliament for onward transmission and for action. Thank you very much.
Yes, once again, thank you so much for staying tuned to Faraja Digital TV. As the saying goes, even the best dancer leaves the dance floor. So what we began as a journey in the morning has finally come to the final end of its lap. So Letitia, tell me, what was among your climax effects of the day?
Oh, I was very surprised to see that people with disabilities were well represented. They had very good points. People who are online actually had the best arguments. I was really impressed. I don't know about you, Shedrick.
Well, actually, me on my side, I was very impressed with the way the youth really debated their issues. Of course, there were little irregularities here and there, but still they made sure their voice was heard. But let's hope and pray that the government of the Republic of Uganda and the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda really put into use what the youth have told them. For Faraja Digital TV, I remain Shedrick Mbale and
Namata Letitia. Stay tuned and we love you.
Thank you. We love you so much. Live from Parliament.
In 2021, during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Advance Africa and Faraja Africa Foundation trained communities in West Nile on entrepreneurship, digital marketing, and living in the COVID-19 era.
We identified specific vulnerable groups, and these were young entrepreneurs. The young entrepreneurs we are looking at here are more those in the informal sector, so they expose themselves, they are at risk to be in contact with diseases and so on.
First of all, when you look at what happened during when COVID came up, there were lockdowns, not just in Uganda, but all over the...
Truck drivers were empowered, who are now able to reach out to the others, to counsel them, but also positively, help them to go through that period.
I remember when we first heard of COVID and how it could be prevented, it came with restrictions. And during that time, in order to prevent the spread of the disease, there was a restriction in movement. So that came with a lot of challenges.